It's been good. I mean, I think the guys have been working. There's a lot of player-run workouts this time of year, so a lot of stuff I don't get to see, and I can't really ask our players about it due to NCAA rules. But I know when we've been with them, they've been working hard. They've been holding each other accountable, and they're hungry.
Yeah, Kenny, you're probably going to be picked next week to finish somewhere in the bottom third or something of the Pac-12, but people are completely unaware outside of Tempe kind of like what you guys have been able to do with the transfer portal and everything. So what's your sort of expectations going into the camp for the season, and what's possible, do you think, for ASU?
Yeah, I mean, I never put wins as expectations. Like, the whole program is based off success, which is just being the very best you can be at whatever you're doing all the time. So I don't know, to be honest. I've never seen the guys play football. I've seen them play practice. There's a huge difference between people who can perform under the lights in a game atmosphere and people who can perform in practice. Is there a correlation? Yes. But there may be one or two guys that raise their game when the lights turn on and one or two guys that don't. I won't know that until we kick off.
What about, though, from a talent standpoint? You've without seeing games, comparing this to where you've been previously as a barometer for what's possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think our talent, I think we've improved the roster pretty dramatically. But once again, it's you're versus yourselves. So everything is relative to who you're going versus. So it's one of the hardest things to do is determine when you're a new staff how good you're going to be. When you've been a place for 3, 4, 5 years, you can say, okay, well, this was our team last year. This is how many games we won. This team would have been this much better than last year's team. Therefore, we should be this. But when you come in and you're at square one, you don't have that baseline like you used to know how good this player is under the lights compared, even though this player's beating this player. You don't know how good this player is when the game field turns on because you haven't coached him or played it with him yet. So I think you're competing versus a lot of unknowns. Do I think we have a chance to be good? Yes. But you're still competing with the unknowns.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, obviously a lot of your summer's been spent recruiting. What can you say about your recruiting philosophy and what's been the reception for you and your coaches as you've been trying to recruit your first full class?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to recruit people who want to be here. That's the number one thing about our philosophy is there's no tricks, there's no gimmicks, there's no promises. In the world of NIL, there's zero NIL talk at all. Because I want people who want to be here. I firmly believe that. This is a special place. I have a passion for this place. When people walk into this building, they better have a pride in it. They better have a passion about it. And that's what we keep the main thing when we talk and recruit is, do you want to be here? Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to be a part of something that could be special? And if you do, great. And if you don't, great. You know, there's a lot of athletes out there.
Hode, Doug Haller, then Jordan Ham.
Hi, Kenny. Hode, Rubino, Devil's Digest. I know from day one you said that Bo Baldwin is the one that's going to call plays on game day. But do you have any idea, with your extensive offensive background, obviously, is it just going to really be a meeting of the minds when a game plan is devised, or it's really just Bo having the last word? What is the process going to look like?
Oh, I'll have the last word. I mean, if I want to run something, I want to run it, right? But I think Bo is a really, really good offensive mind. That's why I brought him here. I think he's done more with less the majority of his career. And I think that's what makes him special. I mean, he's won a national championship as a head coach, as a leader. So we're going to work together to create a game plan. But I have full faith in him on game day. I mean, he's called plays way longer than I have. So, I mean, I have full faith with him calling football plays and being the leader of the offense, and he's going to run it. But I am, on both sides of the ball, I'm going to have a say in both game plans. I believe that's what a head coach should do, is help both sides of the football. Because you have to have a unified attack. You can't say, okay, this team's really good on offense and us go out and run 85 plays because now our defense is going to play 95 snaps, right? Well, are we deep on defense? Who knows? Do we have a two deep? Maybe their twos are better than our twos. Well, if that's the case, then we need to shorten the game. We need to make this a 65 snap to 72 snap game. Maybe we're deeper than them. Well, crap, maybe we need to play as fast as possible to get into their depth. So there's so much more that goes into winning, not just scoring, not just stopping, that I think that's what I want to have a role in, is what is the philosophy to win the football game going into the game. I mean, there was a game last year that I coached in. I mean, we ended up losing, but we ran the ball and we took 13 minutes off the clock in one drive because it was what I felt was necessary to give ourselves the best chance to win. Is that going to make our stats look great? No. We probably just should have kept scoring. That would have looked good. But we tried to win the football game, and how was that? We had to shorten it that week. So that's going to be my job, is how do we create the best plan to win football games?
And just a quick follow-up, do you already have any idea which coaches are going to be in the booth on game days?
I have a clue. I know Coach Baldwin will be in the booth. Unless we switch, maybe I'll go in the booth. Who knows? But that's a joke. That'll probably be, sent out, national news. But no, and then probably, defensively, probably Coach Ward, but probably Coach Ward or Coach Cooper. Obviously, we named Coach Cooper our run game coordinator. He's done a phenomenal job here so far. So one of those guys will go up, one of those guys will be down.
Doug?
Kenny, since you arrived, since you were hired, you've talked to fans, season ticket holders, alumni. In those discussions, was there a common denominator as far as feedback of what they wanted you to, accomplish, but just the direction of the program? Was there a common denominator as far as that feedback goes?
Yeah, all of them want to win a national championship. That was common. But I think the common was just have passion. Get our guys to play hard. That's probably one of the things that comes up the most is do they play with passion? I just want them to play hard. I want to watch the game and see guys caring and see guys playing with a passion. And I think that was one of the most common trends from everybody was just play hard, guys. Play hard.
Jordan?
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. On the topic of recruiting, is this season different for you recruiting versus previous years where you're preaching a vision but you don't quite have the exact product on the field for players to see?
No. I know that's what most people say in year one is, we're selling the vision. The difference is I don't sell. I don't say if you come here, you're going to accomplish this, because in reality, I can tell you what I've done in the past and what our offense has done in the past, but anybody who comes to this program is going to have to work their butt off. And the level of success they have is not based off of what I do. It's based off of what they do. So all we're doing is giving them an opportunity to showcase themselves in a great place to live with hopefully really good people around them coaching them to help them be successful in life. It's their job to put in the work, to learn, to study, to go be successful. That's what they've got to do. I'm not the magic wand that creates this magical player, right? I feel like we do good things on offense, we do good things on defense, but it's the player's job to put in the work to become successful. And that's really the vision that we sell is we're going to give you the platform for you to put in the work to become successful.
You're in the front.
Hi, Josh Namath, Cronkite News. Dylan Tapley was one of the first recruits you hired for in-state talent. Or is that something that you're focusing on in your time here, is keeping the local talent in Arizona?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't comment on recruits. But I will say I'm focusing on people who want to be here. And people sometimes get that confused with Arizona kids. I want Arizona kids if they want to be here. But I have no issue if an Arizona kid doesn't want to be here with him going to experience things. You have to experience things in life. There's a lot of people, it's a trend in college football to go experience. If you look in the states of Texas, if you look in the states of Florida, if you look in the states of California, kids are leaving their state at a higher rate than they ever have because of social media, because the access they have to learn about things that they didn't know existed 20 years ago. So you can't get frustrated when a kid wants to go experience something. I've actually told a kid in this year's class, don't come here. You shouldn't come here. I can tell in your eyes, you need to go experience something else. I can see it in you. And to be honest, if I would have pushed, I may have been able to get him here. But it wouldn't have been the fit for him. That's not what I want. I want people who want to be here. Would I love that to be the top players in the state? Would I love to win? Would I love to set a precedent that we're going to help these guys be successful in life and those guys flock here? Yes. Only if they want to be here, though. I'm not going to trick them to be here. And I'm not going to promise them to be here. I'm not going to give them anything else I wouldn't give a kid from another state, right? The opportunity to work, but the opportunity to do it in front of your friends and family, that's what should make this place special, is the family aspect of staying home. That's what makes this job special for me. So why shouldn't it be special for them?
Okay.
Kenny, just Camp Tonazono. You're going to go up there with, what, 3 days? What do you want to get out of that? What are you hoping to bring back from that? Togetherness. I don't even know if that's a word. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, who knows? But that.
I want people to put their cell phones down, and normally we're going to have a practice in the morning and a walkthrough at night with meetings, and it's camp. Well, at Camp T, we're not doing the walkthrough at night. It is football, a little bit of meetings to clean up the practice, and then it's from 11/noon on, right? They're going to have to do this thing called, like, hang out. And they're going to have to do it without a cell phone. They're going to have to do it without a television, without a video game. They're going to do it with a deck of cards. They're going to do it with a Jenga set. They're going to do it with dice. And they're going to have to hang out and talk to each other and build relationships. Because the one thing you mentioned earlier, what has the boosters and the support asked, one of the things that I got from the former players here, that the most successful teams here, was the togetherness that they had, the brotherhood they had. And the only way you can build that is by doing things like this, is putting them in environments that they don't want to be. Nobody wants to go stay in a bunk. Come on, I don't want to go stay in a bunk. But you know what? We're going to tell the stories, and they're going to tell the stories about how this team and how this culture was created. And they're going to go back to Camp T, and there's going to be something that happens where a roach crawls in somebody's pillowcase, right? And they're going to freak out, and they're going to tell the story forever.
Greg.
Coach Greg Moore, Arizona Republic. Good to see you.
I got vacation, by the way.
My God. I'm a former copy editor, so I'll accept togetherness. I will accept that. I'm curious, man, about Camp T. The facilities aren't the best, right? Like for football. So do you feel like there's a good trade-off there? And the other thing I worry about with Camp T is we've had a couple of coaches make a big return to Camp T, but then for whatever reason it falls off. And so I worry about the lack of continuity, the lack of tradition. So first, facilities, and then secondly, consistency with going to the site.
So one, I will agree with you. There's some challenges when you go to a place like that, for sure. And I've asked the players what those challenges are. I said, okay, Jordan Clark, you've been there in the past. Tell me a challenge. And I have meetings about it. One of them's showers, bathrooms, all that. So we're going to bring some of that stuff in to help them. The other one's food. The last time they went, they lost a bunch of weight when they went to Camp T. So how are we going to solve that? Well, we've got with the nutritionists to solve that issue, right? So really what we're talking about is where you sleep now and what do you do for fun in your downtime. So we've mitigated those issues on the front end. That way we can really kind of try to get the best of both worlds. But part of this is to be uncomfortable. Part of this is the football is not comfortable, right? You go on the road at Washington State, Oregon State. Those aren't comfortable games. Those are very uncomfortable games. You stay 45 minutes away. You drive. It's cold. It's rainy, right? It's just uncomfortable, right? That's why nobody's ever gone undefeated in Pac-12 play. It's because the league is so diverse in terms of the different places you play. So I think you need to put your players in these adverse situations to get them to wake up and their back hurts because they slept on a single, right? But they still have to go practice. That's part of life. That's part of football. That's week 9, right? And if to think that's not week 9 is false. And sorry, what was your second half of that? Sure. 100%. We'll go to Camp T. I would like to go to Camp T as long as we can. I think, like I said, I think it's great in all aspects to build memories, to build camaraderie. It's just you need to struggle. You need to build team. You need it all. I think you need it all. Life's about experiences, and good and bad, and sometimes they're intertwined. I think Camp T is an experience that's good and bad, and it's all intertwined into one. And those are what people remember. You don't remember the play. You remember these moments on sports teams, these events, right? And that's what we're trying to create, is we're trying to create a brotherhood through the highs and lows, the ups and downs of fall camp, and this is part of it.
Chris, and then right over here.
Kenny, you mentioned that there's zero NIL talk in recruiting, but star players expect to make money in NIL today, and recruits expect to be star players, so it's kind of maybe the elephant in the room sometimes. So how do you navigate that, and maybe more importantly, how much of an impact does it really have, do you think, on college football success?
Oh, NIL is 80% of recruiting, 75% of recruiting. So to think that it's not is naive, but the way you do it is different. Like, I hope the players that choose to come here get paid the maximum amount of money they could ever get paid, more than anybody in the country. That's what I hope. I hope I do such a good job that businesses flock to pay our players more than anybody in the country, because we have a valley behind it. And if you don't think that your one business can make a difference, you're false. It's not true. Your one business supporting one player, reaching out to one player on Twitter and saying, we're going to pay you blank amount of money a month to do this, is critical. It's huge. You don't understand, because there's so many businesses. So everybody's important there, and that's the activating the valley piece. But it is, NIL is essential, but I don't want a kid. I want to reward our guys who are here. I want people to get NIL who wanted to be here. Not getting a kid here illegally, by the way. You can't actually do that in NCAA rules, to entice them with NIL. I want the Valley to support the people who choose to be here at such a high rate that it gets out that, man, Coach, they never talk about it, but golly, that kid over there, he's making blank amount. Look at him. He's everywhere. This kid over here, he's making blank amount. Their starting quarterback's making blank. Their linebackers are making blank. Everybody on their team makes blank because one big company paid $1 million to pay all their players to do 4 events for them because they wanted the events. That's how I want NIL. I want the city to wrap around this team and use this team. You have a charity and you want your kid, you want a mentorship program. There's a company, MVP Foundation, that's going to get behind our players, and they're going to start getting our athletes and paying our athletes to be mentors for inner city youth. That's what it's for. That's what I want people to think about Arizona State, is help our players, utilize our players to activate the community, help everybody, and then the recruits will see it. They'll see what we're doing, and they'll want to be a part of it, and we'll never even have to discuss it. I can focus on actually helping them be successful in life.
So, Kenny, in terms of the health of the team, I know that you mentioned in spring practice that Ben Coleman is not going to be a full participant in fall camp. Aside from him, are there any other players that may not be full go from day one?
Yeah, him. Jordan Tyson is still recovering a little bit. So those would be the two that we're navigating back. Aaron Frost will be full go.
Kenny, you mentioned the unknowns with your team. I think to this point, I think a lot of people would agree that you guys have killed the offseason since you started to where you are. But as a first-year head coach going into the season, do you feel like there's still some unknowns, or do you feel some unknowns within yourself just going through all this for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, unknowns are just, what do we look like through adversity? You can try to create it, but you don't know it. You don't know it till you're in it, right? Nobody knows how they respond until they get put in that situation. So that's an unknown, and those are the unknowns that define games. Because, I mean, you win or lose, if you look at a season, it's one possession. Those are the games that take you from a 5-win team to an 8-win team, right? Or from a 3-win team to a 6-win team. I think they lost last year 5 or 6 games of one-possession games, or something crazy of one-possession games. That's the adversity within a game. You never know how you're going to respond to that till you're in it. You never know how your guys handle that till you're in it. You never know how they handle pressure till you're in it. And those are the unknowns. For myself, being on the field, I haven't been on the field since I was a freshman high school coach. I haven't been in the box since I was in varsity as a high school coach, since I was a varsity coordinator, since I was a GA, since I was a position coach. I've been in the box, so golly, how loud is it going to be? You know what I mean? Like, there are some unknowns that I have, unknowns from a football perspective. That football's football. You can go be a freshman high school coach. You still have to manage timeouts. You still have to do everything you would do, right, within a college football game. There's no difference. And anything college is easier because you get TV timeouts to give more breaks, right? So that type of stuff I'm not worried about. It's more just the differences of the Evan not being able to be in the box to see the field. That's different. I've always been in the box. It's like a video game up there, right, to see schemes. That's a change, right? That's why I have a guy I trust up there.
And one last thing. You told some of us that when you were at other places, you used to be driving in your car and you would be practicing the speech that you would give when you were introduced as ASU's head coach. Now that you are ASU's head coach, what speech are you practicing as you're driving around Arizona?
No speech, really. I mean, I don't really have a speech anymore. Speeches are over, I guess. And my speech failed miserably. I did nothing like I practiced. So that didn't work.
I realize you're not going to be recruiting people in the room to play, but arbitrary numbers, just listening to your passion, if you have a kid that's a 10 talent-wise, but 3, 4, 5 on the motivational scale versus a kid that's 6 or 7 talent-wise, but 12 out of 10 motivational, who is the Kenny Dillingham player?
Oh, 10-12, motivational. At the end of the day, it's contagious, right? If you're not going to get, if you can create such a recruiting pipeline where you get 75 5-stars, 75 high 4 and 5 stars, then you know what? You can take the chance of having 15 kids who kill your culture, because they're just going to weed themselves out because you're so talented. They don't matter. They just disappear, right? But if you're trying to create a culture and add these really talented people that kill culture into a team that's all 12 efforts, right? These 12 effort kids are going to look at these talented kids that just do whatever they want, and you're not going to have unity because you're not going to have the same vision. So I want people, that's why I keep going back, that want to be here. It's the most important thing in recruiting. It's not the sales pitch. We're going to sign good players. There's a lot of really, really good players. And the news flash is, guess what? The rankings change all the time. And guess what? If a kid signs at a high-level school, their ranking's going to get boosted. So a lot of the rankings, right, you got to take, they matter and they're accurate, but they're also relative to where a kid somewhat signs, right? And that's the reality of it. Where are you at the end and not now? My goal is to not sign the top players right now. They're signing the best football players. And when they play their senior year, let's see where they are at the end of this thing. And that's why, for me, it's people that are passionate, it's people who care, and it's people who want to be here. So when they walk in this door and I challenge them and I tell them this isn't the standard here, they know that I gave them no promises to anything other than the opportunity to work.
Justin Spankdahl, 12 News NBC. Coach, with Pac-12 Media Day coming up, and it's going to be your first time at the Pac-12 Media Day, what are you looking forward to most, and what do you think you're going to be taking away from Media Day?
Looking forward for it to be over the most, so I can get back here. I just got back from vacation, so I'm ready to actually get back to work. But I'm really, to be honest, I'm looking forward to see Bo Nix. Really, that'll be fun for me to go see him again. Last year, this time, I think I was at his wedding about 3 weeks ago. So I'm looking forward to go see him and see Dan and see some of the staff and see our kids given the opportunity to go talk to the media. That's what I'm looking forward to, is to see the kids have that opportunity to really start their own, branch off out a little bit and be the face. That's what college sports is about. It's not about me. It's about the kids. So I'm excited for them to get that opportunity.
So maybe rankings aren't all that important, but I know some are stars, but not all of them are completely accurate. So the transition part is probably not clear.
Yeah, we're focused on the growth, the projection of people. I think the thing, when I look at this league and this conference and what wins, and you look at the Coach Whittingham, that guy has done a phenomenal job evaluating somebody on where they're going to be in 2 to 3 years. You look at Coach Smith at Oregon State. He's done a phenomenal job evaluating at where people are going to be in 2 to 3 years. And those kids fitting in a culture and a style, right? And then when those players mature and they have that culture, that's their edge, is they now have a junior playing a freshman, right, with an extreme culture, with an extreme vision. And I think here at ASU, you can have a balance if you don't get lost trying to win recruiting. If you stay focused on your vision and your plan, you can attract the skill players that maybe some people can't attract because you're at Arizona State. You can attract skill players, and if you combine that with the vision of the culture, I think in 2 to 3 to 4 years, you can have that culture that these gritty places have with good plus skill. that they always can't, that those places usually can't get, is the skill. That's usually what they're missing. I think if we do it right in 3 to 4 years, we can have that grittiness, we can have that culture, and combine it with the skill. But you can't just try to flip the switch and say we want this player because he's ranked high, because it looks good. This isn't about publicity stunts. There's been multiple 4-stars that I could have gotten that we didn't think was good enough. I don't want a publicity stunt. I want players that fit the culture, that fit the place.
Last 2 questions, Nick and then Jordan.
Coach, we see on social media that you've been able to get out and play golf with your guys. How meaningful is that to you to be able to have that bonding relationship with those guys outside of the facilities here?
Yeah, I mean, it's critical. I mean, the one thing I think people can start to realize about me is I really don't have, like, Coach Kenny and then Kenny. It's just me, right? You know, some people are like, oh, when I get on the field, I change. Like, I really don't. I'm just the same person all the time. So, I mean, the relationships you have with those guys, I think when tough moments happen, I think that's when the relationships really matter. So, and to me, it's fun. I mean, getting out there and playing golf and competing, I love competing. So it's just kind of who I am. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just fun. It's what you do. It's what life's about.
Jordan.
Coach, who are some of the newcomers that maybe missed spring ball that have jumped out to you here?
I mean, Jake Smith missed. I know he was here, but he missed the majority of spring ball. He's really jumped out. I mean, he's back up to 197. He's moving really well. He ran high 22s the other day. So, I mean, he's a kid who missed. That's done a nice job. Obviously, Frosty's done a really good job coming back. So I think we have a couple guys. It's hard. There's no pads on. You're just running around. You know what I mean? So I would say just athletically, those 2 guys have really shown up. But we'll really find out when camp starts, and we have day 6 days in a row to start, and we practice outside in the heat. Right? We're not going in the bubble if we don't have to, right? Unless there's a heat advisory. So we're going to practice outside. It's going to be 113. People are going to super hot. It's fine, right? And we're going to see who really wants it.